all kinds of the Dorothy Dix column and menus and ads for just about everything, and all kinds of opinion pieces about should we get into the war or should we not get into the war, all of that sort of thing. So it was very helpful to have that those papers. The only thing was I couldn't read them in the house. I had to go outside because they were so musty that you couldn't keep them inside. I'd like to share just a couple paragraphs from the first chapter of The House on Honeysuckle Lane. And this is in the viewpoint of Annie Reed, the main character. And this is what she says. The house on Honeysuckle Lane was more than just the house where I was born. It was more than the sum total of its rooms, brimming with memories and love, joy and pain. 3 generations of Reeds had called it home since the year my grandfather Reed built the Victorian 2-story for his young bride, Alma. Through 2 world wars and a depression, good times and bad, the house rollicked with life, shimmered with memories, and exuded nostalgia like a rare fragrance, stirring the heart with nameless yearnings. The house on Honeysuckle Lane was everything to me. In its silence it shaped me, sheltered me, and nurtured me as much as any person did. And when I left pieces of myself behind. But I took with me an enduring connection with that venerable old house, my home. And then from the second book, I'm just going to read a couple of paragraphs from this one. Home to Willowbrook. This is from the viewpoint now of Catherine Herrick, Annie's best friend from around the corner. Chapter 1. The dead of a soundless night, an endless highway headed nowhere. Blackness, palpable as blood. Catherine Herrick's black DeSoto aimed straight arrow through a drenching Indiana downpour, when without warning she felt herself careening across the yellow line, her gloved hands helpless on the steering wheel. Her vehicle skated up rain-slick asphalt like a pebble tossed in play, skittering across a frozen lake bed. Out of control, airborne, delirious sensation of lightness. Is this what it's like to fly? 2 great white orbs exploded within her vision, canceling out the darkness with their stunning glare. The lights mesmerized her, obliterated her consciousness. Those huge radiating globes were all she recalled as she plunged over the precipice into a musky, foul oblivion. And if you want to know if she survived, you've got to read the book.
Not fair, not fair.
Not telling you anymore. I'd like to close with reading just a few paragraphs from probably the books that are the books of my heart are Misty and Becoming a Woman of Passion, because I've put so much of myself and my own personal life into these books. So I'm going to read to you just from the introduction of Becoming a Woman of Passion. She was a scrawny stick of a child, thin as a windle straw, with pale green eyes and enormous buck teeth that overwhelmed a small, uncertain mouth. At first glance, she was all teeth, a forlorn waif who looked mildly retarded because her lips couldn't close over those huge protruding teeth. She lived in a 2-bedroom tract house, too small for a family of 5, in a sparse neighborhood tucked beside a woods, a world away from the upper-scale homes of her classmates. She shared a cubbyhole of a room with her brother and drew a chalk line on the hardwood floor to define her space and his. But the only way to be alone was to burrow into the unexplored cave of her imagination, where there were no walls, no boundaries, no fences. a place as boundless and full of possibilities as the starry heavens she glimpsed out her window each night. She was a plain, ungainly child in a family of handsome faces. Her parents could have been movie stars, her mother a glamorous Susan Hayward with her flawless features and flowing black tresses. Her father a charming Dick Powell with his raven curls and sultry eyes. She, their artless daughter, admired and adored them and yearned for a modicum of their grace and charm. She realized early she was two people in one, the shy, tongue-tied youngster who sat paralyzed when called on to speak in class, and who shrank into herself when her peers taunted her and called her Bugs Bunny. This version of herself was a forlorn flower under a scorching sun, a wisp of wallflower brooding on the bleak borders of a solitary childhood. Fear drove her, chained her, kept her from reaching out lest she be ridiculed, rejected. When she wasn't teased, she was ignored. She was always the last to be picked, the first to be excluded, the one nobody wanted to play with. But in her own little neighborhood of deep woods and golden fields, of cattail swamps and rocky dirt roads trailing off to unimaginable lands, she blossomed into another person, the ardent, invincible child who thrived in her mind and heart like a fertile, indestructible plant. This child was brimming with stories of stalwart heroes and winsome heroines, and adventures that overflowed the boundaries of her prosaic life. With one or two friends, she poured out these fanciful tales and became the hero, the creator, and director of her own spontaneous plays. This child feasted on limitless possibilities. She could be anyone, do anything, go anywhere. She could speak the words and become a princess, a pirate, a cowboy, a spy. She was one of a kind, with a calling she couldn't define. But even at a young age, she knew her life had been marked with a purpose. Someday she would summon the courage and discover the unique pathway she had been created to pursue. This shy, graceless child with the enormous teeth and the dreams to match would someday become a woman of passion. You may have guessed, I am that shy, awkward child with the enormous teeth and the dreams to match, an unlikely candidate to become a woman of passion. But if I can do it, any woman can. And I might say any man too, not a woman of passion, of course, but you can become a man of passion. In closing, I want to thank my husband, Bill. You all know Bill.
Oh, yeah.
He's a great guy, and if you want to applaud him too, that's great too. He has made it possible for me to fulfill my dreams. He has always supported me and encouraged me in every possible way. He has put up with many, many nights of TV dinners. He has put up with me staying up late to meet writing deadlines. He has put up with my traveling around the country for days and sometimes weeks at a time. He has accepted taking our vacations at writers' conferences or booksellers' conventions. And he even helped me launch and lead the Inland Empire Christian Writers Guild that we put on 2 workshops a year for many years. And he did all of that while commuting to Orange County to work as an aerospace engineer. So thank you, Bill. I love you.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Bill.
And I want to thank my family as well. God blessed me with 3 wonderful kids and 7 precious grandchildren and this little foster granddaughter right here in the front row that we hope someday will also be officially my granddaughter. And then I also want to thank everybody here at the village. You know, Bill and I love every one of you. I mean, I could just go up to every one of you and say, we love you, you know, we love you. You guys are great. We love the lifestyle here, the friendships, the activities, the fun, the food, of course, and the sense of community and security that we share here with all of you. So I just want to thank all of you here too. And then I want to thank Danae, and I want to thank Michelle, and whoever else was involved. I heard Alex, and who else? Fred. Yes, I really want to thank you all for putting together this whole display. I mean, some of my artwork I haven't seen in 50 years because I had it packed away, so it's kind of fun to get it out and see some of it again. And I do hope to see all of you at the Holiday Bazaar on November 15th. I don't know, do we have time for questions or not? Okay, anybody have a question? I've been doing all the talking, so if somebody else wants to say something, I'd love to hear. If you have any questions. Dick?
I have a question.
Yes.
With all this work going on, how did you have time to raise a family?
Oh, he said, how did I have time to raise a family with? There were many times that I would be sitting in my rocking chair with a baby in each arm and my notepad propped between them, jotting down notes as I rocked the babies.
Oh, really?
So,
Yeah, you.
yes, Kim, that was you. Somehow it worked. Somehow it worked. And yes.
What is your next book or thing that you're working on?
My next book, I'm in the process of finishing a book that I'm writing with a co-author, and it's tentatively called, and let me see if I can remember, Voices is the main title, Voices, and then Women of the Bible Speak to Today's Woman on Faith, Love, and Marriage. So it's required a lot of research. I'm very thankful that my co-author is a former pastor and professor, and he's really good at doing a lot of research. But it has taken a lot of research. That project came about, I might have time to tell you how it came about. I had not done any writing for probably several years, the last several years. And somehow I had gone for 50 years, pretty much living from deadline to deadline and contract to contract. And I just hit a place where I thought, oh, okay, it seems I'm done for now. And then I had a dream one night when we were on a cruise. You all probably know how much Bill loves cruises. We were on a cruise, and I had this dream, and it was very unusual because I never remember my dreams. I love trying to recall my dreams. There's just something I love about dreams, to just kind of analyze them, but I never remember them. But this time, this one night, I dreamed that I was writing a new romance novel, and in the dream I had the whole plot figured out, the characters, the plot. I even had a title, Emily and the Rising Star is the title of it. And so I woke up and I was so excited, I just grabbed any paper I could find there in the cabin and started writing it down as fast as I could. And when I got home, I just jumped right into writing it. It just flowed so well, and I wrote a whole synopsis, and everything just fell together. I'm still working on it. I kind of put it aside for a while. But anyway, it was so exciting to me that all this had come from a dream. And I'm on a loop with, an email loop with about 200 other novelists. And one of them had posted an email saying, the strangest thing happened. I had a dream the other night that I was writing a book, and it all just came to me in my dream. And I woke up and I started writing, and now I want to write it. And I'm just wondering, has anyone out there had the same experience? Well, of course, I wrote right back. I said, yes, I have. The same thing happened to me. And so he said, well, would you be interested in helping me write my book? And I just felt led to say, yes, I will. And so that's how that book came about. It started with 2 dreams and then ended up now a book. Okay.
That's cool.
Anything else? Okay, thank you all so much. I hope you'll look at some of the work. If you have any questions about any of it. I did do the woodcuts and the ceramic vases And the picture over here is actually, that's my mom, Millie Giff Smith, back
Down in
when
the
she was
bottom?
44, the portrait over here. She's wearing the blue outfit there. And, let's see, and the wood portrait over here is actually Bill's father, Anthony Page. So that was, okay, thank you so much.